In this episode, we're going to talk about the amazing film Deadpool and Wolverine. And I'm going to break down the movie and explain some Easter eggs and references that you might have missed. Now, spoiler warning, you've been warned. The movie starts in North Dakota near the Canadian border, at the gravesite where Logan is buried. And this is from the 2018 film Logan. And we see the X mark placed by X-23 is still in place. Incidentally, this is Earth 10,005, the Fox X-Men universe. In that film, an aging and weakened Logan and his clone X-23 rescued a bunch of mutant orphans, fought his own younger, stronger Wolverine clone, succumbed to his injuries, and the children buried him here. Logan was an amazing movie and is considered one of the greatest comic book movies of all time, and before this film was the best depiction of Wolverine on screen. At that time, Hugh Jackman had announced his retirement from playing Wolverine. Logan was a swan song and was seen as a fitting end to the character. Deadpool and Wolverine is the first official, long-awaited introduction of the Fox Marvel characters into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And this is a Deadpool movie after all, so it's going to have a lot of fun going meta and breaking the fourth wall, mostly about the fact that Disney bought out Fox and now owns the Fox Marvel characters. And in line with the meta references, the movie's going to start out with Deadpool digging up Logan's corpse. And Logan's adamantium skeletal system is still intact. Suddenly, a bunch of soldiers from the Time Variance Authority attack Deadpool. And we're treated to an incredible and hilarious action sequence. All to the tune of NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. The scene is so violent and so funny, and you're wincing and laughing, and it tells us instantly what kind of movie we're in. And the level of violence actually tells us that the Deadpool and Wolverine franchise may actually be okay in Disney's hands. And finally, for comic fans, this is what we've been waiting for. We finally get Wolverine in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And then after the incredible action sequence, Deadpool has a flashback to tell us how he got to this point. The structure of this movie is a callback to the first movie that started in media res in an action sequence and then had a flashback scene to explain how they got here. We jump to Universe 616, which represents both the Marvel Comics universe and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And it is 2018 where Wade Wilson is applying for a job with the Avengers. And it's appropriate that he's interviewing with Happy Hogan, who is played by Jon Favreau, who single-handedly launched the cinematic universe when he directed the 2008 Iron Man movie. And Wade asks, "Aren't you the chauffeur? Is your superpower parallel parking?" And Wade wants to join the Avengers to impress his girlfriend Vanessa, and we learn that the two have been having problems and they've broken up. And in fact, she's even dating somebody else. Well, he doesn't make the Avengers team. And on the way home, we see Time Variance Authority agents posing as construction workers and spying on Wade. Now, the TVA made their debut in the Disney Plus show Loki, where we learn that they are an immense interdimensional bureaucracy keeping the universe in order by monitoring the multiverse to protect the sacred timeline. And they monitor variances and destroy branching timelines, and they throw them into a place called the Void, where they're devoured by a purple smoke monster named Goliath. And in Loki, the TVA was created by He Who Remains, who created it to prevent alternate universes in order to prevent branching timelines where an evil variant Kang may emerge and create a multiversal war. And by the way, Loki's series was fantastic, and if you haven't seen it, you need to check it out. In Loki, we saw that Loki sacrifices himself to save the multiverse by holding all the strands of time in all universes together. And with Loki, the TVA no longer prunes universes, but rather observes and nurtures them. And the Time Variance Authority is from the comics. It's been around keeping order in the multiverse since 1986. The TVA was introduced in the Thor comic issues 371 to 372 by Walt Simonson. That night, Wade's friends throw a surprise birthday party for him, and we get his friends from the first two Deadpool movies. We get Vanessa, his blind roommate Al, Peter, Dopinder, Colossus, Teenage Negasonic Warhead, her girlfriend Yukio, and Shatterstar from X-Force. The old man is Buck, who was one of his assassin's friends from the bar in the first Deadpool movie. We also get a hilarious recall of Blind Al's love of cocaine.
About Bolivian marching band?
They know all the slang terms. They have a list.
Even snowboarding?
Even disco dust.
White girl interrupted?
Even force bump.
Do you want to build a snowman?
Yes.
Wade Wilson is brought to the TVA to meet Paradox, and Paradox is actually from the comics. In the comics, he's a judge in the Time Variance Authority who was killed in the She-Hulk comics. And Paradox wants to destroy failing universes. He apparently prefers the old way when the TVA just pruned any universe they wanted. Much like some Disney executives may want to consider destroying the Fox Cinematic Universe. And one of the intriguing images we see on screen is Thor cradling a dying Deadpool. And Paradox says, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. That happens in a distant future. And this may be teasing a future that Deadpool will be a prominent character in future Avengers movies. And when Wade realizes that he can redeem the Fox Marvel Universe, he says, I am Marvel Jesus. And then Wade Wilson says, the power of the Marvel Cinematic Universe is about to change forever. Which is a reference and a dig at poor Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, who in 2022, while promoting his Black Adam movie, was making a play at taking over the DC Extended Universe and kept saying, the hierarchy of power in the DC Universe is about to change. Spoiler alert, it didn't. And the TVA gives Deadpool a new suit with adamantium swords, and when he puts on a new outfit, we get a montage of a lot of gratuitous butt shots, an obvious parody to the 1998 Batman and Robin movie. Deadpool learns that his own universe and everyone that he loves is dying due to the loss of its anchor being, a being so important that it is single-handedly responsible for the existence of that universe. In the Marvel Comics, we have Nexus beings who are being so powerful that the universe revolves around them. Earth's Nexus being is Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch. The concept of anchor beings was introduced in the comics in the Jonathan Hickman Secret War run, but it's a little different than in this movie. In the comics universe, the anchor being is Molecule Man. And we can appreciate the meta references here. An anchor being is a superstar celebrity that draws audiences to see movies and becomes the star of the entire franchise. The star retires and the franchise begins to struggle, and then the franchise is no longer able to make movies and hence dies. And Wade initially thinks that he's the anchor being, but finds out that it is Wolverine. And this is so meta, because Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine were very popular and were the two box office draws of the Fox Marvel Cinematic Universe. They can save the Fox Marvel Universe franchise. But also, as popular as Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool is, he has to take a backseat to Hugh Jackman's Wolverine. And that is such clever writing. We learn of Paradox's plan to destroy Deadpool's Earth 10,005 as a mercy killing using the Time Ripper, which means that everyone from Wade Wilson's Earth, including all his loved ones, Vanessa, and all of his friends, will be destroyed. So Deadpool decides to betray Paradox and save his world and all his loved ones. Deadpool leaves the TVA and goes on a search to recruit Wolverine, and this leads to the opening sequence that started the movie. And since this Wolverine is dead, Wade Wilson goes on a mission to find a living Wolverine who can help him. And the music is Huey Lewis and the News' Power of Love, the same music that was the theme to another time-traveling classic, the 1985 Back to the Future. And we get some really cool Wolverine references here. We get a short comics-accurate Wolverine who is a very short Logan. And this is a reference to the fact that in the comic, Logan is only 5'3", and being short is one of his defining features. He's always been short but ferocious, and that's why he's named Wolverine. And Wolverines are small animals that are far more ferocious than their small size would suggest. Well, Hugh Jackman is 6'2", and while fans have loved his portrayal of Wolverine, one of the complaints that some fans have had, especially the die-hard comic fans, is that Hugh Jackman was too tall. Deadpool goes to a fiery apocalyptic world and meets the Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, who only has one hand, otherwise known as Weapon X from Earth 295. This Weapon X was introduced in 1995 in the year-long Mega Marvel crossover series Age of Apocalypse, where the mutant Apocalypse and his minions have taken over the Earth, and a ragtag group of X-Men fight him in order to save humanity. We also get Patch, which is Logan's often used identity when he's undercover. He'll wear an eye patch and gamble in high-class casinos, and he's based on James Bond with a little Nick Fury thrown in. Logan's Patch identity first appeared back in 1988 in issue 1 of his solo Wolverine series. And in 2022, Marvel reintroduced a new Patch miniseries. We get Old Man Logan, which is from the iconic 2010 miniseries Old Man Logan by comics legend Mark Millar and Steve Niven, about an aging Wolverine in a post-apocalyptic future where supervillains have taken over America. And it was inspired by the 1992 Clint Eastwood movie Unforgiven. and Old Man Logan is considered one of the greatest comic books ever published. In 2017, the film Logan was very loosely based on this comic. And then we see a disturbing crucified Logan. This horrific image of Wolverine crucified on a planet of bloody bones is a reference to the cover of Uncanny X-Men issue 251 drawn by Mark Silvestri in 1989 from Chris Claremont's landmark X-Men run. And in that issue, Donald Pierce and a supervillain team called the Reavers capture, torture, and crucify Wolverine. Then we get Logan wearing the classic brown and tan suit who's about to fight the Hulk. When Wolverine sticks his claws out, you can see the reflection of the Hulk in his claws. This is 3 references in one. The brown and tan suit first appeared in X-Men 139 in 1980, redesigned by comics legend John Byrne and Dave Cockrum. And this is the outfit that many comic fans associate with Wolverine. And secondly, the scene recreates the 1987 cover of The Incredible Hulk issue 340, drawn by future superstar and Spawn creator Todd McFarlane. And the third reference is the fact that Wolverine first appeared in the pages of The Incredible Hulk issue 181 back in 1974. And finally, we get a really cool Wolverine looking at his motorcycle and smoking a cigar, and when he turns around, it's Henry Cavill. And Deadpool calls him the Cavalrine. This is also a fun reference to fans who suggested that Henry Cavill, who would no longer be playing DC Superman, should be cast by Marvel as the next Wolverine since Hugh Jackman had retired. And finally, we get the Wolverine of this movie, otherwise known as the worst Wolverine, otherwise known as the best Wolverine. And he is wearing the iconic, comics-accurate blue and yellow superhero outfit. And Deadpool looks at the camera and says, "Well, that only took 20 effing years." And Deadpool says, "Welcome to the MCU, by the way. You're joining at a bit of a low point," which is a reference to the decreasing box office of the MCU after the near $3 billion box office success and universal acclaim of Avengers Endgame. The recent MCU projects like Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, Echo, Secret Invasion, and the Marvels have, let's say, underwhelmed at the box office and with critics and fans. Well, Paradox hits Deadpool and Wolverine with a pruning rod and sends them into the void. We first saw the Void in Season 1 of Loki, and this is the immense, vast wasteland garbage dump of the universe that supposedly exists outside of reality, and it's the place where the TVA sends all variances to be destroyed. These variances are then devoured by the giant antimatter entity named Goliath, and when Deadpool and Wolverine wake up in the Void, they start to fight each other. And they fight in front of a huge 20th Century Fox logo with an X sticking out. So the Fox brand may be dead, but lives on in the X-Men franchise. And the fight is violent and brutal and totally awesome. And then they notice an oncoming caravan, which consists of a version of the Fantastic Car, the car driven by the Fantastic Four in the comics and in the 2007 film Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. We also get the 1942 V16 Coupe, which was driven by Red Skull in Captain America: First Avenger. We get the Cupcake Truck driven by Moon Knight alter ego Stephen Grant in his Disney Plus series, and we get the return of Tyler Mane playing Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie in 2000. We also get Toad from the first X-Men movie, who is played by Darth Maul actor Ray Park and is replaced by Daniel Ramos. We get Pyro, the X-Men who controls fire. He left the X-Men and joined Magneto in X-Men 3: The Last Stand, and Aaron Stanford reprises the role after last playing him in the 2003 X2 and the 2006 X-Men 3: The Last Stand, and now wears a comics-accurate outfit. Then Chris Evans drops in, and we think he's Captain America, and we think he's going to save the day. And in fact, this costume evokes the aging Captain America from the 1999 comic series Earth X. And of course we assume that it's Captain America, but this is totally an awesome misdirect. We think he's going to say, "Avengers Assemble," but he says, "Flame on!" And it's Chris Evans as Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four. Before Chris Evans defined Captain America in the MCU, he starred as the less definitive Johnny Storm the Human Torch in the 2005 Fantastic Four and 2007 Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer. Our heroes and Johnny Storm are captured and taken to the fortress that is made from the giant corpse of Ant-Man. Deadpool jokes, "Paul Rudd finally aged," which is a reference to the internet memes about Paul Rudd not aging and looking exactly the same as he did 30 years ago. And the giant fortress is a reference to Pym Falls in the Old Man Logan comic, which is a landmark made from the giant corpse of Ant-Man, Hank Pym. We meet the villain of this movie, Cassandra Nova, and some of her minions are returning cameos. We get Jade Lai as Lady Deathstrike from X2, replacing Kelly Hu, Eduardo Munoz as Azrael from X-Men First Class, replacing Jason Fleming. We get Juggernaut from X-Men 3 The Last Stand. Aaron Reed replaces Vinnie Jones. And when Deadpool says he's another Juggernaut, this is a reference to a completely different Juggernaut, the more comics-accurate Juggernaut, who was featured as the villain in Deadpool 2. Callisto from X-Men The Last Stand, played by Chloe Kibble. The Russian from the Punisher movie, Billy Clements replaces Kevin Nash. Psylocke from X-Men Apocalypse, Aisha Hussein replaces Olivia Munn. We then meet their leader, Cassandra Nova, played by Emma Corrin, who looks like she really could be James McAvoy's twin sister. Cassandra Nova was introduced in 2000 in Grant Morrison's epic The New X-Men Issue 1, and she's extremely powerful, extremely vicious, and very evil. And she's an interdimensional being who was born the twin sister of Charles Xavier, Professor X, and has the powers of telepathy, telekinesis, and biophasing. And then there's this crazy hilarious moment where Deadpool starts insulting Cassandra Nova, claiming that it was Johnny Storm that said it, not him, and Johnny Storm adamantly denies it, and of course this is a joke that will pay off in the end credit scene. And Cassandra Nova kills Johnny Storm by telekinetically ripping the skin from his bones, and we can see how absolutely powerful she is. And I have to say, when you watch this movie the second time, having seen the end credit scene where we know that Johnny Storm really did say those things, it is hilarious watching Johnny Storm's denial, because now we know he's lying. Cassandra digs her fingernails into Deadpool's face, and this is an homage to Cassandra Nova's introduction in X-Men Issue 1, where she does the same thing to her lackey. She leaves Deadpool and Wolverine to be devoured by Goliath, but the two are able to get away by riding a Sentinel leg from X-Men Days of Future Past. They crash land far away from the fortress, and the two bond at an abandoned diner. And then they run into Dogpool. Dogpool is owned by Nicepool, also played by Ryan Reynolds, and Nicepool is the exact opposite of Deadpool. He's handsome, he has a man bun, he drives a Honda Odyssey with a Coexist bumper sticker, and he's kind, he's generous, he's peaceful, and he is a stereotype of someone from Canada. Nicepool was actually created for this movie and does not have a comic book counterpart. And Deadpool explains that he wears a red costume to hide the blood, which is a reference to the first Deadpool movie, and then remarks that Wolverine wearing yellow is also a good idea, a hilarious urine reference. Now the breakout star of Deadpool and Wolverine is Dogpool, aka Mary Poppins, and Dogpool is played by Peggy, a mix of pug and Chinese crested dog. She won 2023's Britain's Ugliest Dog Award, and Ryan Reynolds felt that she was the embodiment of Deadpool in dog form. Nicepool loans his Honda to our heroes, and the two park their car and fight to the theme of Grease's You're the One That I Want. Our heroes are taken to the base of the Resistance, and we meet the other heroes. First is Elektra, played by Jennifer Gardner, reprising her role as the ninja assassin from the 2003 Daredevil movie and the 2005 Elektra solo film. Next is Wesley Snipes, reprising his role as Blade, the half-vampire vampire hunter. Snipes played Blade in the 1998 Blade movie, and Blade was the first Marvel movie that was so successful it proved to studios that audiences wanted more comic book movies. Without Blade, we would have never gotten X-Men, and then Spider-Man, and eventually Iron Man in the MCU. Blade was a trilogy of films with sequels to 2002 Blade 2 and the 2004 third film Blade Trinity, which also starred Ryan Reynolds as Hannibal King. Blade says, "I never liked you," and Deadpool adds, "Never did," which is a reference to the fact that the two did not get along on set of Blade Trinity 20 years ago. We get Gambit, who's played by Channing Tatum, and this is totally awesome. The popular fan favorite Gambit was the breakout star in the X-Men animated series, and hugely popular in the 90s, both in the X-Men comics and in the Marvel vs. Capcom video game. Remy LeBeau, a Cajun from New Orleans, has the power to supercharge objects and turn them into exploding projectiles. His favorite object to charge and throw are playing cards. And he appeared in the 2009 X-Men Origins movie, played by Taylor Kitsch. In 2014, a Gambit solo movie starring Channing Tatum was announced and even had a 2016 release date. Sean Levy, the director of this movie, was considered for director. Channing Tatum is a huge fan of the Gambit character and worked very hard to develop the movie. However, to the disappointment of fans, the movie got stuck in development limbo and never got made. To the fan and Channing Tatum's delight, he is awesome here, and his outfit is the exact replica of the outfit an X-Men animated TV series and the Capcom video game. Their fourth member is X-23, played by Daphne Keane, reprising her role from the 2017 film Logan. X-23 is Laura Kinney, a female clone of Wolverine who was bred and raised to be the perfect assassin, but is later adopted and raised by Logan. And Remy tells our heroes that there were other heroes that were killed by Cassandra Nova: Punisher, Quicksilver, Daredevil. When Elektra mentions the Punisher, Deadpool mentions that there are 5 of them. There's Dolph Lundgren, Thomas Jane, Ray Stevenson, and then there's the recent John Berthel. And it makes you wonder who the 5th one he was talking about. Then Blade says, "There's only one Blade, and there will ever only be one Blade," which is a reference to the fact that a new Blade movie starring Mahershala Ali was announced back in 2018. However, the film keeps getting delayed and stuck in development limbo and may not even be made. And when Elektra mentions Daredevil, Deadpool offers his condolences and she says, "It's fine." This is a hilarious reference to the fact that Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck met on the set of Daredevil, was married, and then got divorced in real life. The team plans to use Juggernaut's helmet to fight Cassandra Nova, and in the comics, Juggernaut is Cain Marko, Charles Xavier's brother, who wears a helmet that can block Professor X's psychic powers. And the helmet is made from the same substance as Magneto's helmet, and since Cassandra is Charles' twin, it will presumably block her powers as well. At first, Wolverine decides not to go on the suicide attack, and he tells X-23, "I'm the wrong guy." And then X-23 says, "You were always the wrong guy, until you weren't." When the Resistance team attack Cassandra Nova's fortress, Logan has joined them after all. And then Laura puts on the sunglasses, which are the same sunglasses she got in the gas station in the Logan movie. And an incredible fight scene occurs between the Resistance and Nova's minions. Our heroes make it to Cassandra Nova, but Cassandra Nova is way too powerful and just toys with our heroes. Our team is going to kill the bad guys, take Juggernaut's helmet, and throw it at Deadpool, who places it on Cassandra's head. But there's a problem. They need Cassandra's superpowers to get out of the void. They're in a predicament. So Wolverine appeals to Cassandra's compassion for her brother, takes a chance, takes off the helmet, and Cassandra Nova thanks them by using Doctor Strange's sling ring to create a portal to send our two heroes back to Deadpool's world. On Earth 10,005, in the background, we see a store called Liefeld's Just Feet. Rob Liefeld is a superstar artist who created Deadpool, but had the infamous reputation of underdrawing feet. Cassandra finds out about Paradox's plans and the existence of the Time Ripper, and decides to sow chaos and destruction. However, Wolverine and Deadpool have to stop him. Cassandra then sends an army of Deadpool variants to kill Deadpool and Wolverine before they stop her plans, and there are supposedly 100 of them. Among them are Lady Deadpool, voiced by Ryan Reynolds' wife, Blake Lively, a floating Headpool, which is a zombie from the Marvel Universe Earth 2149, who tried to invade Earth 616 and had his body destroyed, but his head survived, and he is voiced by Nathan Fillion. There's Kidpool, who is voiced by Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's daughter, and Babypool is voiced by their other child, Olin Reynolds. Cowboy Deadpool from Earth 1108, played by Matthew McConaughey. There's Zenpool, a Welsh Deadpool, a Samurai Deadpool, a Knight Deadpool, and many others. The members of the Deadpool Corps attack, but Deadpool uses Nicepool as a human shield, only to find out that he doesn't have regenerative powers. Deadpool then takes Nicepool's awesome Gold Desert Eagles, and we get one of the most incredible moments in all of cinema. This moment just blew me away. Logan grabs the back of his outfit and pulls over a spot-on comics-accurate Wolverine mask and helmet, and it looks fantastic. And it even has the white eye hole. Holy shit! I almost fell out of my seat cheering. And then we get Madonna's Like a Prayer, and it has been a prayer to get such an amazing comics-accurate Wolverine that just surpasses any expectation I had. And this leads to a spectacular fight scene where our heroes just plow through the Deadpool Corps. Come on! And then when they look back, they all regenerate. However, Peter arrives and saves the day because every Deadpool has a Peter and loves him. Wolverine decides to sacrifice his life for Deadpool. After all, Deadpool has a whole world who loves him, whereas he has nobody. However, Deadpool hits Wolverine and takes his place. We get a Star Trek reference from Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan. Unfortunately, Deadpool can't quite reach the other Time Ripper tower, but Wolverine comes in at the last second and helps Deadpool save his world. The two join hands and connect the two Time Ripper towers, and overloads them, and they both sacrifice their lives to save Deadpool's world. The two towers connect, the Time Ripper is destroyed, and Cassandra Nova is killed. And then we get the return of Hunter B-15 from the Loki TV series. Hunter B-15 arrests Paradox, and we learn that Wolverine and Deadpool survived because of the combined synergy of their regenerative powers. Deadpool asks B-15 to save the Resistance fighters in the Void, which she agrees to, and B-15 returns Deadpool to a saved world and places Wolverine in it. And the movie ends with Deadpool introducing Wolverine and X-23 to all of his friends. But not before we visit the end credits scene, where we learn that Johnny Storm really did say all those bad things about Cassandra Nova.